Good day, ma'am. My name is Katime Pasos Lagapa from BSHM2A, and for today's video, I will be reporting the chapter 4, which is entitled Type of Organization. As business is set up and develops, it follows a fixed form of internal structures. The structures may be simple or complex, but it can generally be identified as belonging to certain well-defined forms. The line type. When we say the line type of business organization is an organization where there is a direct flow of authority from the top position to immediately subordinate levels. Line authority is the simplest of the organization type. Hence, it easily understood by its members. Every person knows from whom he received his orders to whom to report. A person with line authority knows what he expected from him, and he is responsible for the unit to which he is assigned to function for the attainment of the goals of the enterprise. The line type is usually prevalent in small enterprises. The advantages of this type are the fostering of quick decision making, the elimination of backpassing, and the provision of excellent management training in the direction operation. Types of authority relationships are also easily understood. In a large business organization, however, as duties as responsibilities become too great for any one of man, the manager delegates his authority and responsibility to his subordinate. So, about sa klase-klaseng porma sa organization, sulod sa usa ka business, example sa organization is kanang sa barangay kintahay. Pinaka-top ang barangay chairman. Then ubos niya ang mga SK kagawad. Then sa usa ka type sa organization is gitawag nga line type. Ang line type mao'y pinaka-simple sa tanang organization, then dali ira masabtan kung tan-awon. So let's moving on. Number 2, lines of authority are vertical. All in the same level of authority as in the case of foreman are independent of each other. Each is supreme in his own field and is responsible only to the man directly above him. So, number 3, line type necessitates the highest of grade of executive and requires workers to be efficient. No other type of organization demands such all-around knowledge and ability. As we stated, it presupposes total competence at the top. So, in an industrial plant, for example, there may be a machine shop, a paint shop, as so forth. Each shop is under a foreman. A foreman of one shop neither gives nor receives instructions from any other foreman, but each foreman receives his orders from the superintendent. So let's proceed to advantages of the line type. The advantages of the line type of organization has a certain advantages that arise from its structural relationship. Some of these advantages are the simplest expression of the fundamentals of organization. The different advantages are as follows. First, directness. Second, fixed responsibility. Third, discipline. Fourth, simplicity. Fifth, flexibility. And last, development of all-round executive at higher levels of authority. So when we say directness, it is the members of organization know to whom they are responsible and what exact function they are to perform. Each man knows definitely his place in the organization. When the person answers for his conduct in regard to his obligations, he knows to whom he is accountable. The executive, in turn, can exact an accounting for the obligation and responsibilities which he imposed and he delegated some of his authority. So, number two, fixed responsibility. So, when we say fixed responsibility, the responsibility is not divided. Employees or supervisor at each level are subject to singleness to control. So, let's proceed to discipline. So, discipline it can be seen that discipline is easily maintained and control is definite. Men, especially at the lower level of organization, seem to react more favorably to a single authority than to many authorities. The directness and fixed responsibility of this type of organization naturally lead to stronger discipline. If a policy is to be changed or an important order is to go out, instruction can be transmitted with discipline down the line and the change put into effect obediently because of the military nature of a line organization. So, simplicity. When we say simplicity, the line relationship is easy to define. The organization plan is simple. In an ideal line organization, there is a minimum of red tape because of each executive is supposed to be competent in his particular sphere and level of authority. So flexibility. Flexibility by reason of its simple structures, the line organization permits quick adjustment to changing situation. For instance, it is the organizational setup. Each executive has sole responsibility in his department and in his position to take the needed action of anything comes up. So let's moving on. Let's proceed to the minimum backpassing. The line organization lends itself to a minimum of backpassing. When a supervisor has been given complete charge of his department, he cannot blame someone else if things go wrong. Since he is also own personnel manager, for example, he is in no position to claim that he failed to receive adequate assistance in forestalling grievances that may arise. The structural arrangement of the lines type provides the enterprise well-trained men to take over the higher position when vacated, say by retirement, death, or resignation. Men used to command and lead are readily available. So, as has been mentioned, the line organization requires the executive to perform function of a more comprehensive nature than in other type of organization. Complete authority at the top leads to complete knowledge of the organization problems. When an executive is responsible for everything in his department or unit, he naturally learns all he can about it. So let's proceed to the disadvantages of the line type. As a business organization expands, the line type can no longer meet certain problems. So, in a small enterprise, this kind of organizational structures can be used to great advantage. In a big complex, however, as in a manufacturing concern employing thousands of persons and performing a multitude specialized function, certain advantages become apparent. So first disadvantages of the line type is it's become difficult to secure executive supervisors and workers with an all-around knowledge and win the ability required. Second disadvantages of the line type is specialization is not taken advantage of. Third, in a company considerable size, the executive are apt to be overloaded with duties and responsibilities. Fourth, too much reliance is placed on the chef and other executives. Fifth, the spirit of teamwork or working together toward a common goal or end is something lacking in the line of organization. So these are the disadvantages of the line type. A strong executive may be able to make everybody in his department to the line. He may be able to achieve coordination and control. But this coordination and control are not lasting based on the base as they are on the strength of personality of one person. They easily fail apart. To be able to be lasting, they should be based on teamwork and voluntariness. There is also danger of layering. The insistence that only communication flowing exclusively from down the channels to command, obeyed, and to be obeyed. So, in the case if one more of the top of executive should become incapacitated, the business is bound to be crippled temporarily if not permanently. The class is example of the man who builds a business from scratch, who develops it into a multi-million peso organization, but who makes no provision of his successor may be cited. When these poor boys made good die, the business collapses. So, place of the time type industry. The line type of organization does not hold an important place in the modern business. Line organization is, however, invariably found as part of organization of every enterprise. But pure line organization is rarely found in any enterprise of considerable size. So, line organization is a small scale operation and in the hands of capable men have been the foundation from which have grown some very successful business. Under such condition, line organization permits quick, decisive action. An important factor there is an opportunity to be taken advantage of. So let's proceed to the functional type of organization. This organization is radically different from the line type and evolved as an answer to the problems and disadvantages inherent in the line type organization. So, the father of scientific management, Frederick Taylor, observed that it becomes impossible to find Superman who can know all there is to know about business and who can satisfactorily meet all the requirements of the line executive position. Taylor advocated the functional type of organization and worked out basic organization for the management of shop. So, his classic example of functional organization divided the work of supervision in shop into two groups. Each group has further subdivided into four functions each. The functionalism as is follow. So the first is office or planning division divided into two. In two. First, order of work or route clerk. Second, instruction clerk. Third, time and cost clerk. Fourth is shop disciplinarian. And the second is factory division divided in two. Gang boss, speed boss, inspector, repair or maintenance foreman. In a functional organization, the tasks of management or supervision are divided according to functions. The workmen answer to a specialist supervisor for each particular task they perform. Thus, the same workman would be under the speed boss when it comes to the proper tools to be used, the speed at which machine shall operate, and the feeding of materials into production process. So, let's moving on. Let's proceed to the among the characteristic of this type of organization are first, experts or men trained for a particular kind of work are employed instead of all around men. So those experts or trained men are, for instance, the chemist, the engineer, and the superintendent as shown in the organization chart figure 3. They supervise workers only in the tasks where they expert. So second, in the strict functional type, we have the full application of the principles of division of labor, both mental and manual. So from this division of labor, we derive the advantages in increased dexterity on the part of each individual in the organization, as well as accurate knowledge of manpower requirements. Third is the direct flow of authority from the head of organization. Sorry. Organization down to the workers. So workers is done away or eliminated. Sorry for that convenience. The work is divided according to the functional needs as specialists as placed in the charge of each function or small group or related function. Each specialist in control over the function is charged wherever such functions are found throughout the business. The workers, on the other hand, come in contact with and take orders from several functional foreman as to the performance of each particular function or functions. So, as could be noted in the chart of figure 3, the engineering superintendent and the chemist are in charge to separate function and each gives advice and order to all foreman on matters relating to that particular function. So, let's proceed to the advantages of the functional type. Certain advantages are the clearly apparent. First, a specialization is carried to maximum. This tends to separate the manual and mental functions as much as possible. The advantages of the principles of specialization earlier referred to are applied. Second, there is a greater need to specialize skills and abilities which are easier to secure rather than all around workers who are for difficult to hire and keep. Third is needed supervisors, in addition to being more readily secured, are trained further, specialized tasks with relatively little difficulty, thus promoting flexibility in the organization. Fourth is there is simplified control, hence function are executive effectively. Fifth is supervision or control or function is distributed to specialists who have the full knowledge of their own line specialization. Six is the deal of function organization in Vianson by Taylor Cooperation is promoted and the one man controlled of line organization is eliminated. So let's proceed to the comparison of line and functional type. So nakita na to no nga naay mga box. Then nasa ang comparison of line and functional type, there's the three table. Features, line type, functional type. Feature is the under of feature is discipline, control, specialization, methods, executive, and workers. So the discipline is easily maintained, control definite, specialization not utilized, methods inefficient up to continue. Executive workers, demand for workers of all around ability such men are hard to find. So the functional type of discipline is weak. So next is control, the functional type of control, difficult to coordinate many separate function. Then functional type of specialization is maximum use. Then the functional type of methods is efficient and easily installed. Then lastly, functional type of executive and workers is individuals highly efficient in their particular field but apt to be too over specialized. So let's moving on. The disadvantages of functional type. First is discipline tends to break down among the workmen and at the times even among the foreman and lower supervisory levels. Human nature still insists on clearly authority. When the same workman answers to many supervisors, his discipline becomes slacks. The second is when discipline is weak, morally is likely to be low. Malo siya. Kung ang kung ang disiplina is weak, makuan sila muubos siya. Third, there is related flow of action on account of the divided control. At times, the same task overlaps into two or more functional areas of supervision. This leads to confusion. So fourth, responsibility is theoretically fixed, but in practice, backpassing becomes the rule. It is difficult to fix the blame for wrong action. Each foreman claims responsibility and points to another as the erring person. So, competent supervisor are more readily found in the functional type of organization than in the line type. The scope of duty of the supervisors are restricted to the performance of their particular function. Thus, they can readily trained for their work. So, the disadvantages prove to be so overpowering. However, that is doubtful if an example of pure functional organization exists in business today. However, the principles of functionalization of activities and allocation of duties and responsibility on a functional basis are widely recognized and applied. The functional organization of Taylor is forward step in the evolution of business organization. So let's proceed to the line and stop type. As the name indicates, the line and stop type of organization is the combination of the best features of both the line and functional type. It's considered as having the advantages of both and with the advantages of each removed or eliminated. So, the line and stop concept as improvement over the line and functional types certain advantages. So, first is greatly flexibility. When we say greater flexibility was mentioned as an advantage of the line organization. So, number two, greater strength is the line department to get the benefit of well-studied advice from experts in the particular field. Number three, specialization. The advantages of specialization are applied without failing into the difficulties of functional organization. And lastly, executive training is a line executive who studies carefully to advice given by staff specialists becomes more qualified executive. So, development in organization. So, a further development of line and staff of the organization is manifested in the trend in recent years of appointing assistants to various executives. These assistants neither had a department nor have line authority. The committee idea and organization. In order to facilitate a cooperative relationship within a large enterprise, many companies now add a network of committees to the line and staff organization. Function of committees. A few of the functions of the committees that may be mentioned are as follows. First, to get the members to work as a team. Second is to recognize executive ability and enable training for those who later will comprise staff management. Third is enable to the pulling together of the executive abilities and experiences, or bringing together of the best brains of the company. And lastly, to secure the unity of action upon which success in any enterprise depend. So, to siya ang mga function of committees no nga kanang gipang mention ako. So, let's proceed to the basic principles of committee organization. Committees, like other phases of organization, vary in terms of needs of a given enterprise. However, there are at least four basic principles to be considered in organizing committees. So first is the organization of a committee should grow out of a need that is recognized by representative of department and the personnel affected. The members of the committee should be representative of the function and the personnel concerned, and these members should be represent variation in opinion among personnel. Duties, authorities, and responsibility must be clearly defined even if, owing to circumstances, they are subject to change. And lastly, the organization and operation of a committee should be cooperative development. So let's proceed to suggestion regarding committee. For the committee to be greatest use, their formation should be considered carefully to definite rules can be given as to the numbers and or make up committees as this would be depend upon the problems to be solved. The following are the few suggestions as to some of the point to be considered. So first is size, second is selection of members, third is frequency and duration of conference, fourth is advance notices to committee members of work to be considered, fifth is the work of the committee is advisory. So these are all the suggestion regarding committee. So that's all for my report, and that's all. Thank you.